Perfect. 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 Today is the day that I decided is the time to finally try to tackle this subject for the first time. This isn't kind of like a one-time tackling, a one-time topic conversation. This is like years of knowledge, years of experience that I'm going to talk about pretty much probably just for the first time. So I've been asked so many times, how do I get into pallet flipping? I get that question every single day. I get it emailed to me. I see it on Twitter. I see it on Instagram, the comment sections. That's my most commonly asked question. And I get it in person. Whenever I run into viewers in person, I've been asked it many of times. That's my most commonly asked question. How do I get into pallet flipping? And let me kind of touch on just a couple of possible answers for you that maybe can help you out just a little bit. In just a short little YouTube video. How do you get into pallet flipping? It doesn't matter if it's Amazon pallets, Target pallets, Walmart, Home Depot, Lowe's, Kohl's, Wayfair, Costco, any major retailer. All the same rules apply. Unless you have the access to have contracts to buy direct from these companies, you cannot buy direct from the actual company itself. You cannot just buy from Amazon. You cannot just buy liquidations from Target or Walmart or Best Buy, etc. You can't just buy from them. You can't just go, if you live in a state where you have an Amazon warehouse, like a very large one, you can't just go there and buy liquidations from them. It doesn't work that way. They only sell to large entities, companies, people who have contracts with Amazon themselves set up to buy truckloads, millions of dollars of semi-truckloads per contracts. Sometimes it's monthly, depends on the contract. Some contracts could be upwards of 30 semi-truckloads a month, and sometimes it could be a truck figure or it could be a dollar figure. It all depends on the contract that is worked out between the company and the liquidator. Okay, so whenever you see a website like bulk.com, they are the middleman who are the outside entity who contacts Amazon and says, hey, we would like to buy liquidations. And then they buy massive amounts of liquidated product from Amazon. They might buy $1 million of liquidated product a month from Amazon to resell on bulk.com. And then you buy it from bulk.com. So that is how these companies get these liquidated products. So you cannot buy direct from the companies unless you somehow work out a contract, which is possible. Some of these smaller companies, like if you have a smaller chain, let's say like here in Indiana, I'm not sure how big this store is, but there's a store called Birds Unlimited. I'm not sure if this is like a nationwide store, but it's possible if you contacted Birds Unlimited corporate office that they might work with you as just an individual because they're a smaller company. Like they might say, hey, yeah, we'll sell you, 30 pallets a month, $300 a pallet, $3,000 a month. Like you never know. You can always make that phone call. But for the large companies, the Amazons, the Walmarts, it doesn't work that way. Like you've got to sign some major contracts with those companies. Major dollar figures. Another question. Once people understand how the liquidation business works, how do you find liquidators? How do you find the bulk.coms? How do you find companies like liquidation.com, directliquidation.com? How do you find liquidators? honestly, how I started Liquidators 5 years ago, 4.5, 5 years ago, something like that. I had to go back and think exactly the time frame. But I was starting to hear, like, I was mostly doing thrifting, yard selling, stuff like that, that kind of reselling aspect of it. And I kept hearing about pallet flipping, liquidations, and it intrigued me because I liked the prospect of just buying goods in bulk. Not having to go out and find goods to resell. You just buy the goods to resell. And I was like, that sounds like an awesome prospect. That sounds, it comes to you. You don't go to it, it comes to you. But then I was like, how do I find where to buy this stuff? I didn't really know. You know, I did some online searches and, you know, I just kind of pulled up just the basic .com websites like everybody else does. And then once you type in shipping costs, 9 times out of 10, to ship a pallet of liquidated goods across the country, it'll cost more to ship it than the actual pallet costs. Unless if you're in the same region, the same shipping region as the company, shipping costs are going to cost more than what the pallet costs a lot of the time. And with that shipping being so expensive, because pallets are heavy and they're big and it goes freight and that's expensive. And that pretty much cuts into a good chunk of your profit, if not the majority of your profit is gone. So then I was like, okay, so how do I find liquidators? I really didn't know. So I was at a very, very large flea market. Very large flea market in Indianapolis. It was called the world's largest indoor garage sale flea market or something like that. Early 2015, I think it was. It might have been 2015, 2014. And I kept seeing all these flea market, like small stores there. I mean, like the entire Indiana State Fairgrounds was like a huge indoor flea market. And I kept seeing all these vendors there with all this brand new Sony product. Sony, like, sound systems and Sony GPS system and drones. And then I started seeing other people with health and beauty products, brand new, and small electronics and household goods. And I'm just like, man, where do they? And they were selling stuff for like half of the MSRP. How do they get this so cheap and sell? Because these prices are fantastic. And I started thinking they probably bought it from liquidations. So I asked the gentleman, I said, I see you're selling a lot of Sony products for insanely discounted prices. Can I ask you, did you buy these from liquidation pals? He says, yes, I did. And I said, I know I'm a reseller myself. I've never done the liquidation business, but I'm interested in starting. But I know as a reseller, a lot of the trade secrets we keep to ourselves because, you know, competition is competition. But I said, I'm interested in the liquidation business. I'm trying to get started. And I asked him, I said, did you buy all this stuff locally in Indianapolis? Because that's where I'm from also. He said, yes. So right there, I knew that there are spots in my city that have some major liquidation companies that I can buy from. And he told me, he said, I can't tell you where I buy from because resellers never give our sources out because competition means our prices go up. But he said, do your research, reach out, kind of doing what you're doing now. And he said, just keep looking, do online research, network with people, and you will get into the business. And then that's what I started doing. One thing was I found some online Facebook reselling groups and like some local reselling groups that kind of bounced ideas off of each other, some reselling tips. And through just networking with other people, bouncing off some of my tips with people about how I do some of my reselling, we bounced off ideas. We shared some reselling tips. I learned a little bit of maybe where to buy some pallets. And through that, through networking, sharing information, I was able to learn how to buy liquidations locally. Okay? So I put in probably 6 months of work to find local liquidators, some good ones. But here's the kind of like the catch though. Not every city, not every town, not every state is going to have liquidators. Like if you live in Iowa, you might not have any good liquidation companies in Iowa. You might have to drive to your next state over to the next major city that has good liquidation companies. Not every state has liquidators. I can tell you, I'm going to share some free knowledge with you. Some of the best liquidation hubs in the entire country. Indianapolis, where I'm from. Las Vegas. Multiple spots in Texas. And pretty much all of Southern California. Those are some of the best liquidation hubs in the country. That if you're anywhere near those spots, you're going to find pallets. But there are smaller companies all over the country. All over the country, you're going to find smaller hubs. Some of these liquidation companies do not even have really websites set up. There is a local spot in my city here that do not even have a website. All they have is a Facebook page. And they only sell their pallets on Saturdays between like 10 and 2. And they sell like that and they're gone. So the only way to find them is to find them on Facebook. And then you have to go up to their warehouse on Saturdays, stand in line, and then get a pallet, and that's it. So some of these companies don't have websites. You have to network with people to even find out about companies. So I know that was a very long, drawn-out explanation of how to find liquidators, but that is a very hot topic question I get a lot, and that is the best explanation that I can give, honestly, of how I did it. It was networking, it was talking, it was research, it was meeting people, it was joining Facebook groups, it was joining any group that I possibly could have had to do with reselling to share ideas. People aren't going to give up information to you if you have nothing to give back. In order to get information, you have to be able to also give information. Like reselling is kind of like a two-way street. I mean, you have to give and get. Because we all want to make money, but information's not free. If you want information, you have to have some information to give back. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's not that it's cutthroat. It's just competition is competition. But we are willing to help out each other as long as we are both on the same page. You know what I'm saying? I hope I explained that. I explained that the right way, that it did not come off as, being like mean or just rude. But I hope you understood what I mean by just, in order to get information, you have to share information yourself. It's just a two-way street. That's kind of like the reselling kind of world. That's the business world. That's how business works, So, next topic. People say, you have all this stuff. You buy all these pallets. You buy all these boxes of liquidated goods. How do you sell it? You know what? You've got to sell on many, many platforms. You cannot just limit yourself to just eBay or just Amazon. You've got to have multiple platforms. I've actually talked to some people who've said, I sell just on eBay and I'm very successful. I'm pulling in $8,000 a month in sales. I'm doing fantastic. It's a record year, and that's fabulous. That's fantastic. What happens though if a company files a VERO claim against some of your items you're selling? A VERO claim is pretty much a copyright strike, like HP copyright strike, something that you're selling, saying that you can't sell without our permission, and eBay suspends your account. And you can't sell anything on eBay. So you went from making $8,000 a month yesterday, today you're making zero. You went from making $2,000 a week to making zero. So in the reselling world, you have to diversify your selling portfolio. Do not put your eggs all in one basket. I wasn't totally guilty of it at one point in my reselling career, but I got hurt by it myself. Several years back, I was selling mainly on eBay and Amazon. And I was doing like 75% Amazon, 25% eBay. My Amazon account got suspended because I had a customer who made a bogus counterfeit claim against me, and Amazon shut down my selling account. So I went from making 75% of my income on Amazon to nothing. But my eBay account was still doing the 25% of my income, so then I had to ramp that up very quickly. I survived during that little road bump, but I put too many eggs into my Amazon basket, so I was in a little bit of a panic mode during a little bit of a transition time. But I had the Amazon account fixed when I proved it wasn't counterfeit, had my account reinstated. And during, I think it was about 30, 40 days, during those days, I immediately transitioned and started selling on many, many more platforms. Because I used to tell people this, but then I became guilty of not taking my own advice, and I burned myself. So in 2019, today, I sell online on Amazon, on eBay, on Poshmark, on Mercari, Facebook Marketplace, OfferUp, LetGo, Craigslist. I sell direct through PayPal invoice. You know what I'm saying? Like, I sell any possible online, in-person way I possibly can. Because I never want to get caught with my hand in the egg basket again with a broken eggshell. So, trust me on this. Multiple selling avenues. Never put all of your livelihood into one basket in the reselling world, especially when it comes to pallet flipping, thrifting, anything. Next question that I get a lot is, if you live outside the US, you live in the UK, Canada, other countries, other places in Europe, down in South America, how do you buy liquidations? I've been asked this question a lot. I've done research on this, and honestly, lots of countries deal with liquidated store merchandise in different ways. In some of the countries, I actually still haven't figured out really how they even do it. I know in Europe, like in the UK, there's several websites that sell liquidated product. Like if you're in Europe, pretty much just Google Amazon liquidation or Amazon liquidation pallets. And I think there's like two main websites that have contracts with Amazon. I think they're pretty much the only ones. The name of the actual company slips my mind. But yeah, there actually is a YouTuber who is, I think, lives in the UK, who actually did some Amazon pallet unboxing videos, who bought from the company I'm thinking of. So if you're in the UK, Google for it's a very large YouTuber in the UK, like maybe like 1 million subs or so. He did some Amazon pallet unboxings from a .com website that he purchased from in like the UK or in Europe. So he gave links to all the websites that he purchased from. So he's got direct links where you can buy from. Of course, you got to pay shipping costs if you're not close to the warehouses that he purchased from. But other countries, you know, if you're in South America, or I mean, continent, other continents or countries, it all depends on how your country or your continent you lives in, how they deal with liquidated merchandise. Like, you honestly could just call up, if you live in Australia, let's say, somewhere in Australia, call up, if you have Walmarts in Australia, call up the corporates, or if you have a store like a Walmart, call up the corporate and just ask them, what does this company do with their liquidated merchandise? How do they sell it? Where does it go to? They they might tell you how to buy it or where they send it to for sale. You never know. Just do some research, networking, reach out to some companies, some people. You might be able to find out. You never know. As Amazon pallet flipping, Target pallet flipping, Walmart pallet flipping becomes more and more popular, it's becoming more and more mainstream as you see it. Even on YouTube, you're seeing more and more people now starting to do pallet flipping. Like YouTube channels that have never done it before are starting to do liquidations and pallet flipping and like liquidated kind of mystery boxes. With all this happening, I've been asked a lot of times if I have some kind of courses or some kind of programs to help mentor people of how to pallet flip or how to get started. And I mean, at this time, I've never had any kind of mentorship course or any kind of courses to help teach people how to pallet flip. And to be honest with you, I have thought about maybe sometime in the future, maybe figuring out how to start up some kind of a course or some kind of like paid program of how to pallet flip, like video tutorial or something. But of course, that's going to take time. That's going to take money on my part to hire somebody to help create the course for me. So obviously, like, the course would not be free. I mean, I would have to charge for like, a paid program kind of course. I don't know how people would take that. But I mean, at this time, I don't plan to do one, but I've been asked about it a lot. But I just wanted to say, though, a lot of the paid courses out there that people have asked me about, if I would just look into to see if it's legit or not, a lot of the paid courses that you see about, give us $300, we'll teach you how to sell on Amazon FBA really fast, make money, work from home, be rich quick. Be careful of those, because a lot of those people who offer those courses, they're not resellers. Their hustle, their resell is the course. A lot of those people, what they do is they watch YouTubers like me talk about reselling, talk about pallets. They watch us as we go through pallets, write down little tips and hints that we give while we talk about pallets. They write stuff down, or they just Google and they write stuff down, and that's how they create their mentorship programs, their courses of how to resell or how to thrift or how to pallet flip. Like, they basically just take other people's information that they pretty much just write down, and they make slideshows of it, and they just re-talk what we talk about. But they actually don't know anything. They don't know what they're even talking about. They're just rehashing what somebody else said. And if you ask them questions, they kind of just give you a roundabout answer that they Googled. So be careful about any kind of paid courses that are out there. Right now, I haven't seen a whole lot of courses that I would put... I haven't seen very many courses that I would put my stamp of approval on personally. I'd be careful. Very careful. So just because of that reason, maybe someday I might think about creating some kind of like a paid program, mentorship course, just to weed out all of the other courses out there that aren't good. Because, I mean, I've got a lot of knowledge, but I think it actually might be best to actually team up with maybe another pallet flipper, another reseller, another person, team up and do the course together, to have multiple brains of knowledge combining into one, like, power course. Like, that actually would probably be better, to have like a power course of multiple brains working together. So I don't know, but as of right now, there's nothing planned. It's just, I get asked this a lot. I just wanted to say, be careful of paying for courses. Be very careful. So I'm going to wrap that up for this video. So those are some of the main questions that I get a lot about pallet flipping. So I just wanted to cover, just in this quick little video, some of the main hot topic questions that I get a lot. So I actually would like to carry on this series from time to time answer some of the hot button kind of issues, the hot button topics when it comes to pallet flipping, because people want to know. And I get questions a lot that people would like to see a YouTube video like this of me just talking about these topics openly on YouTube, just explaining, talking about these topics. So I chose today that that's what I'm going to do, just talk about them and explain them. And hopefully a lot of people got a lot of good information from this video, because a lot of the knowledge that I gave in this video took me months and months to gather on my own from researching myself. So I'm happy to pass on some information, because some of the basic knowledge, like what I'm sharing right now, should be shared to help create that headache of the startup of pallet flipping, that headache of where you get frustrated because you can't find these basic answers anywhere of how to even get started. So hopefully this helped out. Hopefully this cleared the air of a lot of unknown aspects of pallet flipping. So you want to see some more videos like this where I go more in depth with just some good questions of pallet flipping? Let me know. I'll do some more. So I'll see you next time. I'm out.